So last week, we learned how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. Let's review. The first thing we need to do is make the equation equal to 0. That has already been done. Now, we need to find two numbers that will multiply and give me 16 and that will add and give me 10. So I know that 4 times 4 equals 16. And 4 plus 4 equals 8. So these are not the two numbers that I need. I know that 2 times 8 equals 16, and 2 plus 8 equals 10. So these are the two factors that I need to write my equation in factor form. So I'm going to rewrite the equation in factor form. X plus 2 and x plus 8. Now that I have done that, I'm going to use the zero product property to find the values for x. So x plus 2 equal 0 and x plus 8 equal 0. So now I have to leave x by itself. So I have positive 2. So in order to cancel that, I need to subtract 2 from both sides. So now I have x equals -2, and that's one of my answers. On this side, I have x plus 8 equals 0. So I need to cancel positive 8. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. And I have x equals -8. That's another answer for x. So this week, we learn how to complete the square, and we learn about perfect squares. So this equation, for example, is a perfect square. So we know that because when you divide b, 8 divided by 2, you get 4. And when you square 4, you get 16. So that's the reason why it is a perfect square. Because when we multiply, so to get x squared, we multiply x times x. And we know that we have 8x, so we have to divide that evenly. So we can put the x values here. So 8x, I will write 4x here and 4x here. That together, they make 8x. So to get 4x, I multiply x times 4. And on this side, I multiply 4 times x. So now I can multiply 4 times 4 to get 16. So this is a perfect square. And I know that because both the sides are the same. So I can write this in factor form as well. But instead of writing and x plus 4 times x plus 4, I can just write x plus 4 squared. Like you do here, instead of writing 4 times 4, we write 4 squared. And this is the factor form for this equation. Okay? So on the next problem, we are going to complete the square. Select all the expressions. They are perfect squares. So for this one, we just finished working on this one. And we know that this is a perfect square. So we already solved this one. Yes, it is a perfect square. So this would be 1. We also worked on x squared plus 10x plus 16. X squared plus 10x plus 16. This is not a perfect square because we just found the factors for this equation, which are x plus 2 and x plus 8. So we know that this is not a perfect square because the two sides of the square are different. So we need to find the step that is not reasonable in solving x squared plus 20x plus 100 equals 81. So we have all these steps here listed. We don't know which one is not the step that we need unless we solve the equation. So let's see. On this side here, I can tell that this is a perfect square because we solved this equation before in the previous page. So we know that 20 divided by 2 equals 10 and 10 squared equals 100. So we know that we can write this as x plus 10 squared, right? Equals 81. So this part is already done. So now I don't need to do this, but I need to square root both sides. So this is what I'm going to do. So when I square root both sides, the square cancels with the square root and I end up with x plus 10 equals, what is 81 squared? The square root of 81 is 9. And we always write plus and minus 9. Okay? So another step to solve would be to write two equations, one with plus 9 and one with negative 9, so we can find the two values of x. So now I know that I need to cancel 10 because I need x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. So x equals negative 1. 9 minus 10 is negative 1. On this side, I'm going to do the same thing. Subtract 10 from both sides. And I have x equals negative 19. So this step is right here. We did that. We did this step, not necessarily, because we have 81. So we did not do this one. We didn't do this one. Okay. We could also solve this equation in a different way. So we could x squared plus 20x plus 100 equals 81. We can also set this equation equal to 0. To do that, we will cancel 81 on this side. 81 minus 81, and here is we'll subtract 81. This is going to cancel. And on this side, now I will have x squared plus 20x plus 19, okay, equals 0. So I can also factor, okay? So to factor this, I know that I need a number that will multiply and give me 19, and that will add and give me 20. So I know that 1 times 19 is 19. and 1 plus 19 is 20. So I know these are the two factors that I need, the two numbers that I need, x plus 1 and x plus 19 equal 0. Okay? So this step is here. So now I need to solve for x. So on this side, I will write the equations right here. X plus 1 equals 0 and x plus 19 equals 0. I am going to subtract 1 and x equals negative 1. On this side, I'm going to subtract 19 from both sides so I can cancel 19 and x equals negative 19. So with this equation, I could solve it by completing the square, and I can solve it by factoring. So the only two steps that we don't have is this one and this one, because we did not, well, yes, this one we do. So the only step that we don't have is this one, because this step is right here. Okay? All right. So for number 3, it's saying determine the correct solution of the equation. So I already know that this is not a perfect square. So I am going to solve this equation by factoring. So I need to set my equation equal to 0. In order to do that, I am going to subtract 21 so I can cancel and have it equal to 0 and subtract 21 from this side. So the equation now will look like this. Okay? So now I need a number that will multiply and give me negative 21. This is multiplication. Okay? And will add and give me negative 4. So let's see. I know that 3 times 7 is 21. And I need negative 21. So let's say negative 3 times 7 equals negative 21. Okay? I also know that negative 3 plus 7 equals positive 4. And I need negative 4. So I'm going to change the signs around and I'm going to make it 3 times negative 7 equals negative 21. So I know that 3 minus 7 will be negative 4. So the factors that I need are positive 3, negative 7. So now I'm going to write the equation in factor form. And I have x plus 3 and x minus 7. Now I need to do the zero property to find the values for x. X plus 3 equals 0 and x minus 7 equals 0. So I need to cancel 3 because I need x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So now I have x equals negative 3. This is one of the answers. On this side, I have x minus 7 equals 0. So I need to cancel negative 7. So I'm going to add 7 here and add 7 to the other side. So now I have x equals 7. And that's another answer. So let's see. X equals negative 3, x equals 7. X equals negative 3, x equals 7. There you go. That's your answer. Number